Hey guys, Morten Ostad here. Welcome to my channel. I'm briefly back here in Oslo. I am actually supposed to be at the health retreat up at Helgelandsmoen, which is just south of the town of Hønefoss, about an hour's drive north of Oslo, uh, depending on traffic. But I decided to go back for the weekend, I did the previous time I was up there back in May. In part because it's nice to have like something to look forward to at the end of the weekend. Nothing really happens up there. There's no activities, and also I'm a one-man show, and last time there were some time-critical mail in the mailbox when I got home, so I wanted to check that. But also because last week before leaving, I was trying to buy a record which was released Friday last week, or reissued rather, and neither of the two record shops here in Oslo that sell new vinyl had gotten it. So I asked online one of them to set aside a copy of it when I saw that it had in fact arrived in the shop. Now, they had apparently a system where they delete the whole holding it for you after just 2 days. So if I didn't get back to that shop before they closed yesterday, they they wouldn't hold it for me anymore, and I that's the kind of thing that I want dealt with quickly. So I got that done. So the record in question, as you probably saw from the thumbnail or name on the video, is the Smashing Pumpkins Machina, the Machines of God. And I'm very happy to have this because I now feel that I have, in one sense, completed my Smashing Pumpkins vinyl record collection, in as far as those standalone studio albums that they released during their first existence. Because, as of course, that's a rather liberal use of the word, of course, they did break up after this record. This was an odd time for them, and I guess Smashing Pumpkins are renowned for having odd times and not, the healthiest of interpersonal communication and so on for a band. They were, of course, initially very successful, critically not least, with their first three albums. And then there's, I suppose, already things were starting to sour. They got a bit of a reputation, and the music style at the time was changing, not necessarily to their advantage. So when their fourth album came along, which is an album I'm very fond of, which would have been 97, 98, with Adore, I remember I thought that was a very cool album when I heard it and bought it, living in Denmark at the time. But I don't think the fan base back then reacted very well, because they went more electronic and industrial in their sound. and they fired their drummer Chamberlain at around this time, who was dealing with addictions. And then they went on a very short tour. Now, I don't know when Gretzky was disappeared from the band, but the tour with Adore, that was with Melissa Aftermauer, wasn't it? And then they got back together, and it was decided they would record one more album. And was it decided during the recording or after that they would then disband, Chamberlain coming back to the band and Gretzky as well? So they start recording this album, and then they stop in order to do a short tour of smaller venues, I think it was. At which time Gretzky then decides to leave the band, leaving them in a bit of a difficult situation there. I don't know how this record was concluded, but I mean, as if you read the personnel listings for this album, she is there along with everyone else. But yeah, so it was then announced that they would break up, and I know that Corgan wanted this to be a double album, but the record company said no. And double album then, of course, being a double CD. And they were unhappy with the sales in Adore and said no, so it wasn't done. And then, I don't know the exact story, it's so confusing, but this was followed up online with the Friends and Enemies album. And now this is the 25th anniversary version of this record, and we're very happy that it's been re-released. But it was promised that there was going to be a box set, including that other record with some 80 songs and B-sides and all kinds of stuff. And I never saw hide nor hair of this. And from what I can tell, this is again where they do one of those things where, yeah, we'll make a minuscule amount of this box set. Maybe I'm wrong. And it'll be sold only through some obscure or left out of the left field website. So, they don't make it easy for you. And they continue not to 25 years later. But all that aside, it says here, the Smashing Pumpkins Machina, the Machines of God, 25th Anniversary Edition, newly remastered, 180-gram vinyl reissue of this Pumpkins classic, their fifth and last of the 90s. And, last of the 90s, in as much that it was released in the year 2000, but I guess it was recorded from mainly in 98, I guess, yeah. So, but I always liked this record a lot. So let's just have a look at it, shall we? And everything here looks very reminiscent of the CD, which I have over there somewhere. I didn't think of getting it. So we have a gatefold with the artwork in nice booklet. There is a colored vinyl variant of this record, but again in limited numbers. And then after this, Corgan did he record solo album first and then get together with Chamberlain and record with some other guys that short-lived Swan with a Z. record. This is on sort of a, almost like rice paper, transparent, as you can see there. It's really nice seeing this artwork in a bigger format than the CD. And like Corgan says in the interviews about this record, in hindsight, is it the band and what we were and what we transferred. And he keeps saying we, but I mean I didn't see necessarily other members of the band dressing in long leather coats and shaving their heads and going all goth and looking like, I don't know, grunge Slayer meets Nine Inch Nails and solo career Rob Halford necessarily. And I don't think the fan base who bands need to progress and they need to change, but I think the fan base from those 3 first albums, they moved on in a way, and they felt that it's hard to say it in a way, because fans aren't supposed to own a band. It's the band who does their music and does their style and have. But I think people felt that it wasn't their band anymore. It was transitioning into something alien, and maybe they should then have brought in a new fan base or something. I don't know. I always was very confused at what happened with Smashing Pumpkins in those days, and I always felt that they sort of reeled it. And I'm talking visually here, because like I said, I really liked Adore, and still do. But I do feel that when I heard this album, then I felt that they were sort of reeling it in, and hey, they're back in a way, and then they weren't, because they broke up. So okay, it comes in this kind of inner sleeve. That's a little bit surprising. And I mean, I don't want to compare, but maybe in comments you could discuss with me. Did Smashing Pumpkins break up, post breakup and reunion? Does it feel in some ways unfulfilled, or largely so? Just like maybe, and again, that's my opinion, post reunion, or rather post reunion, then finally recording albums again, Pixies. Yes, you can never recreate that magic from your youth when you heard a certain band and so on. But there is a bit of a similarity there, I think, between Smashing Pumpkins and Pixies, about what they sort of, with a one strong leader, and what he necessarily decides to bring to the party. But then I would argue that Black Francis had a much stronger solo career musically than the stuff Billy Corgan did in his non-Smashing Pumpkin years, which didn't last that long, I suppose. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that was me just waffling on. about this. I'm very happy to have had the, that I had the opportunity to go back to Oslo to pick up this and get it, because it's been a little bit of an annoyance to me that I've sort of couldn't bookend that first Smashing Pumpkins era in my vinyl collection, and now I can, so happy about that. Thanks for watching, guys. Please click like, that helps my channel. If you want to subscribe, well, that makes me happy, and I hope to see you soon in another video. Take care, bye bye.